Adam Jones, a 25-year-old millionaire, decided to see if his fiancée loved him or if she was only interested in him for his money. Then one day, he informed her that he had gone bankrupt and had lost everything. Her reaction left him speechless. It was a warm spring evening. Adam was sipping coffee by the window in a cozy coffee shop. He glanced at his watch every now and then, clearly concerned about the time. Adam then took his phone from his pocket and dialed a number. He had been waiting for an hour, but his friend had informed him that an important matter had arisen and that he would be unable to see him. Adam hung up the phone, irritated. After all, it was his birthday. And because the man didn't want to celebrate with many people or throw a big party, he simply suggested to his best friend that they have coffee together at lunchtime. However, his birthday always made him inexplicably sad, and the boy grew to be a close and thoughtful person. He had recently returned to his hometown after spending 5 years abroad. He attended Cambridge University, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. The man graduated with honors and returned home with a sense of accomplishment, ready to do his best in his father's business. Adam summoned the waitress and asked her to bring him more coffee and a slice of pie. Adam took out his notebook and tried to concentrate on his work. He was a director of a real estate company founded by his grandfather, who had passed away and left everything to his father, the company's current owner. He put the notebook away after a quick glance at the notes in it. The waitress brought him his order, but Adam didn't feel like eating. He'd lost his appetite after remembering his disappointment in his friend. So he simply thanked her and asked for the bill. The total amount was only $12, but Adam left a $50 bill and proceeded to the cafeteria exit. He was about to leave when he heard someone shouting and asking him to wait. As he turned around, he noticed the waitress approaching him. She panted up to him and said, "You forgot to take your change, mister. Here it is." The man looked at the bills in her hand and replied that it was a tip and that he didn't need change this time. The young man noticed the girl's surprised expression and explained that today was his birthday and that the best way to celebrate was to do something good for someone else. The waitress simply smiled and congratulated him for his beautiful attitude. Then she added, rather embarrassingly, that her name was Jade and she would be delighted if he showed up at the coffee shop again. Later that night, as he lay in his bed at home, Adam thought a lot about getting to know Jade better. She was unlike any of the other girls he knew, and her eccentricity drew him in. He'd been to the restaurant before and had always noticed the young waitress. Despite this, he never had the courage to speak to her due to the rush of work and the constant presence of other company employees. Despite his wealth, Adam was a lonely man. He had a bad track record when it came to emotional relationships. The man had only met shallow women, which traumatized him enough to prevent him from seeking another girlfriend for a long time. But meeting Jade gave him a feeling he'd never had with any of the other women he'd dated. She gave the boy a sense of comfort while also causing euphoria, nervousness, and an inexplicable mix of emotion. Adam fell asleep with these thoughts. When he arrived at work in the morning, he was greeted by his secretary, Chloe. She was a lovely young lady who always wore expensive jewelry and designer clothes. She also had model looks and a distinct perfume scent. Adam had known her since they were in high school. They had studied and lived close their entire lives. Chloe's parents had become friends with Adam's parents, and as a courtesy, she landed a secretarial internship at the family's real estate firm, where she helped Adam with administrative tasks. Adam had always known that if they married, his parents would be happy, and the man had been noticing her glances for a long time, but he was in no hurry to reciprocate and didn't even think about it. When she inquired about his birthday, the man explained that his friend had abandoned him and that he had spent the day alone. He also stated that he was unconcerned about commemorative dates. Chloe offered to go out with the boy that weekend to make amends. "Who knows, maybe I can save this disappointing week of yours?" Chloe stated. Adam agreed because he felt pressured, and then he tried to deflect the subject by turning on his computer and getting to work. He just wanted to forget about the women and concentrate on his career. When the weekend came, Adam, as promised, went on a date with Chloe. They ate at a restaurant before going to the theater. Chloe was babbling and laughing nonstop, trying to make Adam understand how she felt about him. When it was time to say goodbye at the end of the afternoon, Chloe hugged Adam and tried to kiss him, but he pulled away, saying he was exhausted and had a busy day. He took Chloe home and went to the coffee shop where Jade worked. The young lady recognized him and approached him right away. Adam noticed the kindness and joy in her eyes as she took his order. Adam then inquired about her plans for Sunday. "It's my day off and I'm completely free," Jade replied. The man didn't have to think long before inviting her to spend the day with him. The young waitress agreed and gave Adam her phone number. The next day, he called the girl in the morning and they agreed to meet at a local amusement park on a pier with a beautiful sea view. He had spent the entire day preparing for the meeting, and his anxiety made him feel like he was 12 again. He couldn't wait until the evening. When evening came, they met and rode a roller coaster, had ice cream, and then went to the coffee shop where the woman worked. "I live alone with my 10-year-old sister, Eva, in a small apartment on the outskirts," Jade said when Adam asked about her life. "My mother, sadly, passed away about 2 years ago after a long battle with cancer. My father, on the other hand, abandoned my mother as soon as we learned of her diagnosis and never returned." Adam nodded sympathetically after hearing her story. It was their very first night together. His heart has been divided into two halves since then. Half of him desired to be with Chloe, as his parents desired, and the other half desired to be with Jade. He was afraid of making the wrong decision because he didn't know if he would disappoint his parents or himself with whatever decision he made. Adam was at a loss and needed to decide as soon as possible before the situation became even more complicated. The boy called Jade one day, but she told him through tears that her sister was sick, coughing a lot, and had a high fever. Adam was concerned and decided to take her to the hospital, where he also purchased the necessary medications. Adam's bond with Jade grew stronger as a result of this incident. He frequently paid her and her sister visits, bringing her groceries and having board game nights. At the same time, he couldn't stay away from Chloe because they worked together and were constantly in contact. Then one day, the lovely lady decided to take a chance and asked him when they were going to marry. Adam almost choked on his coffee, thinking she was joking, but the woman persisted with the subject, saying that his father had suggested the idea. Adam looked at her with a puzzled expression on his face, and Chloe looked at him before leaving his office. Adam decided to talk to his father about this unbelievable suggestion that day. He went into his father's office and told him that making this decision without his permission was absurd. The father looked at him, surprised, and then softly laughed when his son told him about his conversation with Chloe. Adam then stated that he had already made his decision. He had feelings for another girl, a simple waitress, and that he intended to marry her in the future. The father then becomes pensive and unsure of how to respond. He had already called Chloe's parents to inform them that his son was ready to marry the woman. There was an awkward silence in the office before Adam's father explained that this marriage would be good for the real estate business because he was trying to convince Chloe's grandfather to merge their two companies. And with his granddaughter's marriage and the families becoming one, the old man's decision would be much easier. Adam then contends he suspects the opposite and that his father was being conned into a scam. The young man explains that when he went out with Chloe, he realized she was a shallow woman who was only interested in his money, implying that her grandfather's company was not doing as well as his father thought. By marrying him, the girl was trying to secure her future. This piqued Adam's father's interest, so he devised a strategy. "Let me fire you for show, inform everyone that you will no longer be working here, and that I've disowned you. You stay at home without a job and inform Chloe that the company is about to go bankrupt. Then, we'll see if she wants to marry you without money or a job. If she still wants to go ahead, it means she loves you," Adam's father stated. He liked the idea, but he was certain that Chloe would leave him if he ran out of money because she loved the luxurious life and only wanted to marry him as long as he was rich. The father did not delay the plan and immediately announced to the entire office that Adam had been fired. As Adam was leaving the office, he left the door open and the father shouted to the entire office that the young man had been fired and disowned and should leave the company as soon as possible before calling the security guards. And when Chloe learned that his father had disowned him and Adam was without money or inheritance, she went to see him, and he followed his father's plan by saying, "The truth is that we're on the verge of going bankrupt, Chloe. It's only a matter of time before we lose everything." Hearing this, she looked deeply into his eyes, turned her back on Adam, and said she didn't want to look him in the eyes anymore. "I'm not the type of woman who will stay with a broke guy, Adam. Look at me. I'm too much for you now. Get your act together." Chloe said as she walked out of the office. Adam spent the evening of that unusual day with Jade and Eva. They went to the movies and to his house together. Adam kept smiling as he looked at Jade, but she could tell something was wrong and asked if everything was okay. After a long stare and awkward silence, Adam looked at her and said he was getting married soon. Jade looked away, disappointed, and softly inquired as to who would be the bride. Adam gave Jade's sister Eva some money and told her to go get some ice cream. As the little girl walked away, he took the woman's hand in his, looked her in the eyes, and told her she'd be the bride. Adam watched as tears streamed down Jade's cheeks. They finally embraced and began a serious relationship. Jade and Eva moved in with Adam in his spacious apartment. The woman was absolutely thrilled about his apartment. She had no idea how much money Adam had because he was always very private about it, and she never asked. If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like, and this other video that is about to play will most likely move you as well. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.